Babes, welcome back. We love you, we see you, and honestly, it's midday, and somehow we're already questioning our life choices. Is this adulthood, or were we simply bad at having a normal schedule?
Oh, it is a profoundly valid question
Yeah.
because the mental chaos that descends upon the human brain at exactly 1 p.m. is like truly something that evolutionary biology just failed to prepare us for.
Yes, you get exactly 3 hours of being a functional, contributing member of society. Like, from 9 a.m. to noon, I am the CEO of my life.
Right, you're just firing on all cylinders.
I am answering emails with exclamation points, I am hydrating, I am making color-coded to-do lists, and then, without fail, 1 p.m. hits and I completely check out.
Your brain just unplugs from the wall.
Literally unplugged. Suddenly, I'm sitting there staring at my computer, and random absurd thoughts feel like urgent 5-alarm emergencies.
Oh, you mean like needing to know exactly where your third-grade best friend lives right now?
Exactly. Or like needing to research the property taxes on a dilapidated haunted chateau in the French countryside.
Which is such a specific and yet completely universal experience. It's the afternoon spiral.
It's awful.
But if we break down the mechanics of it, it's actually a fascinating psychological defense mechanism. The afternoon spiral is when the absolute mundane reality of existence just sets in.
The reality of the inbox.
Yeah, your morning momentum, which is fueled entirely by caffeine and cortisol, is dead. So the overwhelming urge to just cancel every single plan you have for the rest of your natural life becomes so strong.
Oh, I want to throw my phone into the nearest ocean, just disappear under a heavy-weighted blanket.
And that becomes the only logical course of action because your brain is desperately seeking a dopamine reset. Like, why does the middle of the day somehow feel drastically longer than the entire morning?
It bends space and time. Time literally stands still. You look at the clock, it's 1:15. You feel like you do 3 hours of work, you look back, and it's 1:17.
Because you are no longer operating on task completion momentum, right? You are operating on pure survival mode.
Pure survival. And you know what makes the midday spiral infinitely worse, but also, like, infinitely better in the immediate moment?
Oh, I think I know where you're going with this.
A Philly cheesesteak. Let's just pivot. Because I am spiraling, I have a drink in my hand, and I am in a passionate, completely unhinged headspace right now about Philly cheesesteaks.
I love that for you.
If you are going to give up on your day at 1 p.m., you might as well commit to the bit and eat a sandwich that requires a forklift and a bib to consume.
The ultimate heavy lunch as an act of self-sabotage. But if we're going to dissect the cheesesteak, we have to talk about the physiological consequences of this choice.
Bring on the consequences.
Because eating a massive, greasy Philly cheesesteak for lunch at noon is essentially signing a legally binding contract with your parasympathetic nervous system.
A contract for a nap.
Exactly. You are guaranteeing that you will be taking a 3-hour nap immediately afterward. Your blood just stops flowing to your brain.
It's a grease coma.
It really is. Your body says, well, sorry, executive function, we have an emergency in the digestive tract. We have to break down 3 pounds of ribeye and processed dairy.
I don't care. It is absolutely worth it. And I will aggressively defend the ideal cheesesteak build right here, right now, to you and to the Snark squad listening.
Please do. Lay out the architecture.
Because there is a right way and a wrong way, and I am willing to die on this hill. First of all, the eternal debate, cheese whiz versus provolone.
The highly contentious topic.
Let me be unequivocally clear. If you are getting provolone, you are going to a fancy deli, you are eating a panini, you are not getting a dirty, authentic, life-altering cheesesteak.
Tell us how you really feel.
It has to be whiz. It has to be fluorescent, neon orange cheese whiz that drips down your forearms, ruins your sleeves, and permanently stains your soul.
It is fascinating to me that you advocate so passionately for a cheese product that, from a molecular standpoint, barely qualifies as dairy.
It's delicious dairy-adjacent goo.
It is an emulsion of whey, oil, and sodium citrate. But look, I will actually play devil's advocate and agree with you from a culinary architecture standpoint.
Thank you. Validation.
Because the whiz acts as a structural binding agent. Provolone just sits on top like a blanket, it separates, it gets stringy, and then pulls all the meat out when you take a bite.
Yes. You take one bite and the whole sandwich falls apart.
Exactly. The whiz, however, because of those beautiful, highly processed emulsifiers, it melts directly into the microscopic crevices of the shaved beef.
It's poetry.
It creates a unified matrix of fat and protein that provolone simply cannot achieve. But what about the onions?
Oh, the onions are not an option. They are an absolute necessity. If you do not have aggressively grilled, heavily caramelized onions on that sandwich, it is a crime against humanity.
Oh, wrong words.
I mean it. It adds that perfect, slightly burnt sweetness to cut the intense salt of the beef and the processed joy of the whiz. You need that allium bite.
You really do need the acid and the sweet to cut the fat.
I want to ask you, the listener, right now, what is your ideal build? Because I know some of you are out there putting bell peppers on it, which is basically a fajita, not a cheesesteak.
A fajita sandwich.
A bell pepper has absolutely no business on a cheesesteak. But really, think about this. Why are some foods just absolutely worth abandoning all personal dignity for?
That is the million-dollar question.
You eat a cheesesteak, you look like a swamp monster, you have grease on your chin, you need a nap, you completely ruin your afternoon productivity, and yet we do it willingly.
We do it willingly because it provides a fleeting, astronomical dopamine hit, right? It temporarily distracts us from the existential dread of that midday spiral we just talked about.
It's medicine.
We trade 3 hours of our afternoon productivity for 10 minutes of sheer, unadulterated flavor bliss. It's an economic exchange of time for serotonin. Honestly, it's totally tubular.
Wait, stop. Stop right there. Did you just say totally tubular?
It did. I dropped it in, and frankly, it felt right.
I'm gasping. I'm nearly choking on my drink. Totally tubular.
It felt phonetically pleasing, which actually brings us to a massive, hilarious crisis of aging that we need to unpack today.
Oh my God, yes.
Because lately, these phrases keep popping up in my head, just floating in the cultural ether, and I don't know where they belong anymore.
The Gen X slang. It's like it's coming back to haunt us from the grave of the 1990s.
It really is.
The other day, someone at the grocery store did something annoying, like they left their cart right in the middle of the aisle, and my internal monologue genuinely, non-ironically said, gag me.
Gag me.
Like, gag me with a spoon. Where did that even come from? I haven't watched a Valley Girl movie in 2 decades.
It's deeply embedded in our neural pathways. And honestly, when you look at these phrases analytically, they are completely ridiculous in a modern context.
So ridiculous.
Think about the sociolinguistic shift. Imagine trying to resolve a serious workplace conflict today and telling your highly sensitive coworker to take a chill pill.
Oh my gosh, you'd be fired immediately.
You wouldn't just be ignored. You would be sent straight to HR for invalidating their lived experience and promoting pharmaceutical gaslighting.
Pharmaceutical gaslighting. I'm screaming. But it's true. Take a chill pill. I used to say that with such authority on the playground.
It was the ultimate shutdown.
Or what about as if? Which, honestly, clueless cemented into the lexicon forever. It is a perfect 2-word dismissal.
It's very efficient.
But if you say it now, people just stare at you like you are a fossil. And the ultimate power move, the absolute pinnacle of 90s boundary setting, talk to the hand.
Yes.
Yeah.
Talk to the hand because the face ain't listening. It was such a brilliant physical manifestation of setting a boundary.
It really was.
Let's analyze the evolution of conflict resolution here. Now we have quiet quitting, and we use therapy speak like, I don't have the emotional capacity to hold space for this conversation right now.
Ugh, so sterile, so boring.
It's very sterile. But back then, you just aggressively shoved your palm in someone's face.
Yeah.
It was beautifully confrontational. It was tactile.
We need to bring it back.
But hearing us say these out loud, romanticizing the era of talk to the hand, I have to ask, babes, are we officially old, or are we just culturally confused?
We are culturally confused and maybe a little old, and I am feeling incredibly fragile about it. I feel like a delicate piece of sea glass right now.
It's a vulnerable state.
Especially because, and I might actually get teary-eyed right now, I am getting genuinely nostalgic and a little panicky, but summer is slowly ending.
It is. The atmospheric shift has begun.
It is slipping through our fingers like sand. The days are getting shorter. I can't handle it.
There is a palpable change in the pressure. You wake up, and for one split second, there is a crispness in the wind. The humidity breaks.
Don't say it.
And instead of feeling physical relief from the sweltering heat, it triggers a deep existential panic. The denial that fall is approaching is a very real psychological phenomenon.
I am in complete and utter denial. I refuse to acknowledge the pumpkin spice lattes that are already aggressively creeping onto the menus in late August.
It's practically September.
It is offensive. Summer somehow completely disappeared. It was May. We were making vision boards. And then I blinked, I blacked out. And now we are in the panic zone.
The desperate scrambling phase.
Yes. Trying to squeeze every last drop of fun out of the remaining warm weather. I'm making chaotic, last-minute summer plans.
Like what?
I am trying to go to the beach when it's suddenly 65 degrees out, just forcing the summer vibe while shivering in a swimsuit.
It's the scarcity mindset at its most basic economic level.
Hmm.
When something is abundant, like the oppressive heat in July, you complain about it.
Naturally.
You hide indoors with the AC.
Mm-hmm.
But the second you realize it's finite, that the resource of summer is depleting, you try to hoard it.
Hoarding sunlight.
You're out there sitting on a patio in a chunky knit sweater, clutching a frozen margarita, your lips turning blue, refusing to admit that you're freezing.
Because admitting you are cold means admitting summer is dead.
And we can't have that.
No, because if summer ends, that means we've failed. And you know what we failed at most of all? I am looking around. The leaves are about to change, the iced coffees are turning into hot lattes, and I have to ask the universe, where are our yacht daddies?
A tragedy in one act. The ongoing, devastating lack of yacht daddies in our life.
We sit here every week on the Snark side doing our absolute best, watching these wealthy Mediterranean gentlemen on Bravo stepping onto these massive floating palaces.
With their matching linen sets.
Yes. And then I look at my own life, sitting on the couch, in the middle of a midday cheesesteak hangover, wearing sweatpants from 2018, and I wonder, when is my mysterious man with a boat arriving?
It is the ultimate irony of our modern viewing habits. We consume this hyper-luxury lifestyle content while existing in the absolute opposite reality.
The stark opposite.
And let's be analytical about this. The complete absence of mysterious men with boats in our day-to-day landlocked lives is a statistical anomaly, right?
Exactly.
Statistically, someone listening right now has to have a yacht daddy.
Am I manifesting incorrectly? Did I do the ritual wrong?
Maybe your vision board wasn't specific enough.
I bought the vision board, I burned the sage, I watched every single franchise of Below Deck. I have decided that if summer ends and the universe has not provided a yacht daddy, it literally owes me a written apology.
A formal decree.
A formal, notarized apology delivered by a shirtless man in a Speedo.
Well, the universe is currently drafting that apology, legally reviewing it, because, unfortunately, no 150-foot super yacht is pulling up to your suburban driveway.
Babes, we've watched enough Below Deck. Where is our yacht daddy? Are we doomed?
You might be.
But babes, enough about our midday spirals, cheesesteak obsession, Gen X slang crisis, disappearing summer, and missing yacht daddies. Let's get onto the boat where the champagne is flowing and someone's emotional stability is about to sink faster than the anchor.
And sink it does, because that midday spiral we were just talking about, where you lose all emotional regulation and logical thought,
Oh, yeah.
that is exactly what happens when you trap young adults on a 150-foot super yacht for 6 weeks.
It's a pressure cooker.
We are diving right into Below Deck Med Season 11, Episode 10, appropriately titled Crazy, Stupid, Love. And let me set the scene, because from an operational standpoint, the stakes have never been higher for Captain Sandy.
No, they are an absolute peril.
They are operating with an absolute skeleton crew.
A microscopic crew. A ghost ship. Nathan is officially out. We saw him dealing with that back injury, the bruised disc.
Which looked incredibly painful.
Which, by the way, strict Bravo fans know might have been exacerbated by his off-screen drama with Gail and the new baby situation, but strictly on the boat, he is out of commission.
Right. Physically unable to work.
So, Sandy is forced to dock this massive, hulking super yacht with literally 3 people. Aesha, the Chief Stew, is acting as a deckhand.
Unprecedented.
Kayley is the acting Chief Stew. And Joe, dear sweet Lord in heaven, Joe is named acting bosun.
Let's talk about the Josen era. Joe plus bosun equals Josen.
Shudder.
When Sandy officially hands Joe those stripes, creating this Frankenstein's monster of maritime authority, it is a fascinating sociological study in ego inflation.
His head literally ballooned.
Let's break down maritime law for a second. What does a skeleton crew actually mean? In commercial shipping, there is a safe manning certificate.
Okay, Professor, break it down.
It legally dictates the absolute minimum number of qualified personnel required to safely operate a vessel. By losing Nathan and Luke, they are flirting with disaster. Sandy doesn't just need bodies. She needs qualified bodies.
Which Joe is not.
She hands the stripes to Joe out of sheer desperation, but you can literally see the power going to his head in real time. He flashes this terrifying alligator smile, as the fans perfectly described it online.
The alligator smile will haunt my nightmare.
And he immediately gives this absolutely horrifying confessional interview.
I am still deeply, profoundly traumatized by that confessional. I needed to take a sip of my drink just thinking about it.
Please hydrate for this.
He gets the stripes. He looks dead into the camera lens and says, I don't want to go TMI, but I'm fully erect right now.
Which is revolting, not just biologically, but professionally.
Revolting. Vile. Who says that on international television? I need to aggressively push back on Sandy's decision here.
I mean, she was desperate.
I know you said she was desperate, but giving Joe, a man who has caused nothing but emotional terrorism and romantic chaos amongst the female crew all season, the absolute authority of a bosun is exactly like handing a toddler a loaded flare gun.
That is a terrifying visual.
You know it's going to go off, you know it's going to be loud, and you know it's going to burn the entire super yacht to the waterline. He is a structural liability.
Analytically, I will play devil's advocate. Sandy didn't have much of a choice operationally. She's clinging to her new mantra of, I can dock this boat with 3 people.
She said it like 50 times.
But your point about his psychological liability is entirely correct. Look at the duties of a bosun. A bosun isn't just someone who ties a cleat hitch or drops an anchor.
Right.
A bosun is responsible for life safety, for managing fatigue, for emotional regulation of the deckhands. And how does Joe manage?
Oh my God, the notes.
He immediately starts leaving these weird, hyper-positive, inspirational notes in the cockpit for Aesha and Cooper.
They were so bizarre.
Cooper's note literally says something like, "Good morning, my king, my boy, my savior, let's keep it up." It's classic Peter principle. He has risen to his level of incompetence.
Totally.
He is gunning so hard for Nathan's permanent job, trying to project this hyper-positive leadership style, but it feels so deeply performative. It's toxic positivity masking a complete lack of technical management skills.
Oh, it's totally fake. He doesn't know how to lead, so he just acts like a frat president hyping up his pledges during rush week.
Exactly.
And meanwhile, while Joe is busy writing love letters to Cooper, Chef Joy steps up. I love Joy so much. She is the MVP of my heart.
She really is the anchor of sanity.
She decides she wants to see the outside world. She wants to see the sun, so she volunteers to help the exterior crew drop the anchor. And this is where we get the most hilariously specific detail of the entire episode.
The insurance policy.
Yes. She's worried about her feet getting sucked into the massive anchor chain, which, valid, that machinery is terrifying. But then she announces to the crew that her hands are insured for up to $700,000.
Which is such a fascinating, highly specific number that we need to unpack from an economics perspective.
Please do, because I was so confused.
On one hand, insuring your hands as a chef makes total logical sense. Think about Lloyd's of London. They insure body parts all the time. Keith Richards' fingers, Heidi Klum's legs.
Right.
For a chef, your hands are your tools, your livelihood, your entire mechanism for generating income. But $700,000 for a high-end, world-traveling luxury career chef.
It seems kind of low.
That feels strangely low if you actually run the actuarial math. If she suffers a catastrophic hand injury in the anchor windlass, $700,000 might cover her lost wages and medical bills for maybe 5 or 6 years.
In this economy, barely.
But what about the rest of her life? Unless you mean $700,000 in a vastly different currency. It's just such an oddly specific flex to drop while staring down 1,000 pounds of kinetic metal.
I honestly don't care about the currency exchange rate. I was just terrified watching her stand near that heavy machinery.
It was stressful to watch.
That anchor chain is moving at warp speed, and she's just hovering there with her $700,000 hands. But somehow, by the grace of Poseidon, they pull off the docking.
A miracle.
The guests leave, they seem happy, they hand over a $21,000 tip, which some brilliant soul on Twitter noted is approximately equivalent to the insurance payout on just Joy's pinky nail.
I love the Snark squad on Twitter.
And they survive the charter. But babes, the true chaos hasn't even started. Because inside the boat, the absolute disaster of the old Hollywood dinner is brewing, and it is going to break someone's psyche.
Ah, yes. The dinner from hell. The guests requested an old Hollywood theme. But visually, due to the skeleton crew and pure exhaustion, it resembles the clearance aisle at Party City on November 1st.
It was so bleak.
It is severely lacking the usual super yacht grandeur.
It was so cheap looking. The plastic pearls, the feather boas that looked like they were molting all over the table.
Tragic.
But the real crime, the horrific, potentially career-destroying failure that sets off our resident interior villain, Jen, is the plating.
Oh, the plating.
So Kayley is operating as acting Chief Stew. She is running around like a headless chicken. The guests demand a 14-item buffet plate for this old Hollywood dinner.
14 items.
Kayley has to serve caviar, oysters, pancakes, bread, accompaniments. And what does she do? She crowds all of it, the exquisite caviar, the wet oysters, the blainess, onto a tiny, minuscule little bread plate.
Let's look at the hospitality mechanics here because it's interesting. She remembered the extra forks for the caviar because you can't use metal spoons with caviar. It ruins the oxidation.
Right, you need the mother of pearl spoons.
Exactly. So she has the technical knowledge. But she completely forgot the actual appetizer plates. Now, objectively, on a 150-foot super yacht, where guests are paying hundreds of thousands of dollars, this is a massive faux pas.
It's embarrassing.
You want separate ornate dishes for a high-end caviar service. The aesthetic is half of what they are paying for.
Yeah.
But, and this is the crucial context, you are also operating in absolute survival mode.
Exactly.
You are down 2 crew members. The economics of a skeleton crew means aesthetics are the first thing to be sacrificed in favor of sheer caloric delivery.
Exactly. Delivery is the only metric that matters right now. Get the food to the mouth. But Jen absolutely loses her mind over this.
She spirals completely.
She seethes. She treats this bread plate like it is a war crime committed against her personally. She is wearing her little flapper dress, standing in the galley, fuming, telling herself she's not going to say anything.
But of course she does.
Of course she cannot hold it in. She runs straight to Aesha. She literally complains that Kayley has the brain power for an extra fork, but not a bigger plate.
Let's psychoanalyze Jen for a moment, because her behavior in this episode is a masterclass in performative perfectionism and zero emotional regulation.
Zero.
Jen is 22 years old, yet she acts like a boomer nostalgic for toxic 1980s corporate culture. She actually complains to Kat later that she misses the days when Chief Stews would scream at you, demean you, and micromanage you if you missed a single spot of water on a placemat.
It's deranged.
She wants a toxic environment.
Right.
Why? Because for someone with high anxiety and low emotional intelligence, a screaming boss provides rigid, unambiguous structure.
Oh, that makes sense.
If the boss is screaming, you know exactly where you stand. Vague, supportive management terrifies her because it requires her to self-regulate.
Which is insane. She's romanticizing abuse. She wants the Devil Wears Prada on the high seas.
She really does.
And Aesha gives an absolute masterclass in management here. She doesn't take the bait. Aesha is on her break, listening to the radio from her bunk, eating her bed noodle.
Those bed noodles.
Which tangent? How do you eat ramen noodles lying horizontally in a bunk bed with a laptop on your chest without spilling boiling broth on your collarbone? It defies gravity.
She has core strength we can only dream of.
But she hears Jen complaining over the radio. When they finally talk, Aesha politely and firmly shuts her down. She strips all the emotion out of it.
It was very clinical.
She affirms that both of them are doing a good job, but firmly reminds Jen to respect Kayley's temporary authority and be a team player. Aesha literally says in her confessional that Jen is technically competent at cleaning, but fundamentally doesn't understand that connecting with guests and maintaining crew morale is infinitely more important than the diameter of a bread plate.
Aesha's high emotional intelligence perfectly highlights Jen's complete lack of it, because Jen doesn't get the validation she desperately craves from Aesha. Aesha didn't join in the complaining.
Right.
So Jen immediately goes hunting for that validation elsewhere. She runs to Kat. She expects Kat to join in the mean girl pile-on against Kayley to soothe her own ego.
And Kat gives her the reality check of the century. Kat looks at her and basically tells her to fix her attitude and to stop bringing her prior toxic workplace trauma onto this boat.
It was incredible.
Kat says, "We are not doing this. I wanted to stand up in my living room and cheer for Kat."
It was a beautiful pivot by Kat. She refused to be a receptacle for Jen's toxicity. But Jen cannot let the grudge go.
Never.
She holds on to this bread plate issue like it's a priceless family heirloom. Which leads us to the most unhinged, dark, genuinely disturbing comment of the entire season.
The hose comment, oh my God, I need to brace myself.
Kayley, being the bigger person, pulls Jen aside later to try and smooth things over to clear the air. It's a solid, mature effort by Kayley to maintain crew harmony.
She tried so hard.
Jen smiles to her face, gives her a fake hug. But at her confessional, she drops this absolute psychological bombshell. She says that if Kayley were on fire, she wouldn't watch her burn, but she wouldn't use her strongest hose.
I was screaming. I spiraled over this for 20 minutes.
Zondig.
Let's unpack the sheer sadism of this statement. Who wishes mild, prolonged fire damage on their coworker over a piece of porcelain?
Over a bread plate.
It is so incredibly dark. It's not just, I hate her. It's, I won't let you burn to death, thereby avoiding a manslaughter charge, but I will give you a slow trickle from a garden hose, so you suffer agonizing third-degree burns and permanent scarring.
It's premeditated torture.
Over an appetizer plate. Jen is terrifying. She is a walking psychological hazard.
It proves she has absolutely zero conflict resolution skills. She thrives on holding on to misery. She's the only person in the world who can look absolutely fundamentally miserable right after being handed a literal wad of cash representing a share of a $21,000 tip.
She didn't even crack a smile.
The money doesn't matter to her, the grievance does.
She is exhausting. Just watching her drains my life force. But you know what else was exhausting? The bizarre excursions this crew had to endure to keep these guests happy.
The excursions were out of control.
Starting with the guests' dinner in the sky.
Yes. Let's talk about the logistical nightmare that is dinner in the sky. The crew takes the guests off the boat to this absurd setup where they are strapped into these little swiveling bucket seats on a massive industrial crane, hoisted 100 to maybe 200 feet into the air to eat their dinner.
It made my palms sweat.
Just the fundamental concept is terrifying. Think about the liability insurance required for this.
I would jump overboard before doing that. Just thinking about the mechanics of it. Like, what if you have to pee?
Exactly.
You are stuck 150 feet in the stratosphere. Do they have to slowly lower the entire 200-ton apparatus so Bunny can use the restroom?
The mechanics are deeply flawed.
You drop your fork, it's gone forever. It reaches terminal velocity and impales a pedestrian on the boardwalk. You drop your wine glass, you shatter a car windshield.
It's a hazard to the general public.
And they're just sitting up there drinking wine while the seats are swiveling the wind shear. I had a full-blown panic attack just watching it on my flat screen.
And you notice Captain Sandy was notably absent from that little excursion.
Oh, she stayed on solid ground.
She stayed safely, firmly planted on the ground, likely calculating the legal ramifications if one of those harnesses failed. But she makes up for her absence the next morning, on the crew's designated day off.
By waking everyone up dressed as a full-blown pirate, hook hand, eye patch, tri-corner hat, the whole 9 yards.
She went all in.
Sandy is really leaning into her whimsy this season, and honestly, I kind of love it. She walks into Aesha's cabin, and this tiny detail sent me into orbit. Aesha is sleeping, and she is wearing her own custom merch as a pajama shirt.
That is branding.
That is the level of unbothered, self-promotional icon behavior I aspire to every single day of my life.
And that chaotic, whimsical energy continues to the beach club, because Sandy treats the crew to a ride on an actual replica pirate ship to take them to a luxury beach club.
Which is wild.
Which, side note regarding the economics of reality television, between renting a massive industrial crane for the dinner and chartering a literal pirate ship for a crew day off, Bravo production is clearly blowing the budget they saved by not having to pay Luke and Nathan's day rates this episode.
Oh, 100%. Production said, we have an extra 10 grand, rent the galleon. But at the beach club, the whimsy takes a dark turn into coping mechanisms.
The maracas.
Because Aesha finds maracas. And babes, when I say she refuses to put them down, I mean she holds on to them with a white-knuckle death grip.
She was fused to them.
She is shaking them at the beach club while people are trying to have serious conversations. She is violently shaking them in the back of the Sprinter van on the way home to drown out the awkward, heavy silence between the crew.
It was so loud.
She is shaking them while lying horizontally in her bunk. Joy eventually has to lean over and tell her to quit with the chicka-chicka.
The maracas essentially became the newest crew member. But psychologically, they were necessary. Let's analyze Aesha's behavior.
Yeah.
The tension among the actual crew was unbearable.
It was so thick you could cut it with a knife.
Aesha is highly empathetic. She absorbs the emotional temperature of the room. She was using the percussion of the maracas as an acoustic buffer, creating literal white noise to drown out the social distress of her team.
That makes so much sense.
It's a physical coping mechanism. And that tension wasn't just about the current crew. It brings us to the ghost currently haunting the Mediterranean, Luke.
Luke. The man fired in disgrace for leaving a biohazard literal jizz stain on Captain Sandy's personal sheets.
Disgusting.
He is still texting Joy. He is sending her little update videos from Cape Town, and Joy is entertaining it. She even signs off a video chat with him by saying, "See you soon," and blowing a kiss to the camera.
It was baffling.
Joy, you are the absolute GO8 of this season. Your hands are worth $700,000. You are a professional. Why are you texting a walking, talking, breathing red flag?
It's a bizarre love bombing situation. Luke is trying to control the narrative from 1,000 miles away. He wants to ensure he still has allies on the boat so his reputation isn't entirely destroyed on international television.
Too late for that.
But the real delusion, the pinnacle of toxic groupthink, happens at the beach club. The crew actually raises their glasses and toasts to Luke. They say he's a good guy, regardless of what happened.
And Jen loses it. And for the very first time in my life, I am aggressively, passionately agreeing with Jen.
Broken clock is right twice a day.
She requests they stop talking about him. They refuse. Joe keeps talking about how nice Luke is, how he misses him. Jen storms off, asking, why are we celebrating this guy? And she is right. Why are we cheering a messy, fired deckhand who blatantly disrespected the captain and the vessel?
Analytically, the crew's logic is deeply flawed.
Yep.
Cheering for a guy who committed a massive, insubordinate, and frankly unsanitary act against the captain is insane.
Right.
However, I'm going to play devil's advocate here. Jen has absolutely no right to play the victim in this specific scenario.
Not true.
She was fully complicit in the sheet incident. She was right there with him. She slept in that bed, and she didn't clean the sheets up either. She let them sit there, baking in the Mediterranean heat, for 3 days.
The smell.
So her outrage, while technically correct in a vacuum, like, yes, we shouldn't toast Luke, is entirely hypocritical in practice. And because the crew already knows she has a bad attitude about the bread plate, they are vastly less willing to accommodate her feelings or her demands that a topic be forbidden.
She burnt all her bridges.
She has no social capital left to spend.
It's true, her hypocrisy is stunning, but the men on this boat are just testing every single ounce of my sanity. Which leaves us perfectly into the Men Are Trash coalition, starring Joe, and our former favorite, Cooper.
Let's dive into it.
Let's weave our segments in here, starting with Yacht Daddy Watch, because we need to severely evaluate these men.
Let's do a brutal vibe check of the men currently on board, starting with Joe's test. Because this is a masterclass in toxic dating psychology.
It made my blood boil.
Joe and Kayley have been flirting, building this cute little boatmanse. At the club, Joe, heavily intoxicated, decides to tell Kayley point blank that he is going to go talk to other girls.
Which is the biggest egg of all time. Who says that? It's not just that he does it, it's that he announces it like a threat.
It's a power move.
He comes back later after circling the bar and tells her, you passed the test. Kayley immediately, brilliantly realizes he is a slimeball and hits the brakes on the entire relationship. She tells him she wants to pause it. Good for her.
Joe's management style for his personal life is exactly as toxic as his professional ambition. He wants a girl to chase him, to be jealous, because it strokes his fragile ego.
Gross.
It is a psychological stress test. He is introducing a controlled fracture into the relationship foundation to see if she will crumble and beg for his attention. It's structural engineering for toxic men.
Wow, that is perfectly said.
So on the Yacht Daddy Watch scale, Joe is an alligator-smiling slimeball who tests women for sport. 0 Yacht Daddy energy.
Negative Yacht Daddy energy. He owes us Yacht Daddy energy. What about Cooper? Because the real tragedy of this episode is the absolute downfall of Cooper.
Cooper. Self-proclaimed Southern gentleman. He completely transformed into a chaotic, messy frat boy in the span of 24 hours.
He fell from grace so fast.
Let's trace his arc. The entire crew is gossiping about him and Kat going on one date. So what does Cooper do? Instead of communicating like a grown adult, he punishes Kat.
He acted like a baby.
He ignores her at the crane dinner, he walks away from her on the pirate ship, and at the club he dances with random girls while pointedly ignoring her existence.
As Kat brilliantly observed while tearfully calling her friend in the alley behind the club, Cooper is Prince Haunting her.
A great reference.
For those who don't speak fluent Disney, that's a Frozen reference to a guy who fakes being a sweet, charming, communicative prince only to reveal his selfish, untrustworthy, manipulative motives once he has you hooked. He ghosted her emotions while standing in the exact same room.
And it all culminates in the most enraging scene of the entire season. Back on the boat, Kat texts him that she doesn't want to end the day like this. They meet up in the skiff, the little bosun's locker.
Where they think they're safe.
Right, where they think the cameras can't see them, but the boom mics pick up every single word. The audio is damning.
They're just chilling.
Cooper completely backpedals. He tells her she's beautiful, that he still wants to pursue her, but he just hates that everyone is watching and gossiping. So he pitches the ultimate fuckboy rom-com plot to solve his PR problem.
Operation Secret Vibing, even saying the phrase makes my skin crawl.
Yes. He proposes that they explicitly tell the entire crew they are completely done, that they are just friends, effectively humiliating Cap publicly.
Oh.
But in secret, behind closed doors, they will continue to make out and date.
I was screaming at my television. I wanted to reach through the flat screen, grab Kat by the shoulders, and shake her. Run away.
Sprint in the opposite direction.
Never, ever, ever agree to be a secret girlfriend. Agreeing to be a man's dirty little secret just to protect his fragile ego from some light crew gossip is the ultimate tragedy. You are hiding your light, you're hiding your worth to make a frat boy comfortable with his bros.
It's classic manipulation tactic. We see this Bravo archetype all the time. Bravo men continually set the bar in hell, and then they bring a shovel to dig it deeper.
Literally a shovel.
Cooper got a massive amount of mileage out of simply being tall, polite, and saying yes ma'am in the first few weeks. As the fans hilariously noted online, he sometimes looks like Earthworm Jim, but he coasts on this Southern charm aesthetic.
He really does look like Earthworm Jim.
Now the mask is slipped. He doesn't want the accountability or the social pressure of a public relationship, but he still wants the physical benefits of Kat's affection. He completely fumbled a great communicative girl because he can't handle a little peer pressure from Josen.
Josen ruined him.
On the Yacht Daddy watch, he is disqualified. Did you catch the detail in the morning? When Sandy wakes them up as a pirate, Cooper is literally sleeping with a toy lightsaber in his bed. He is a child.
A literal boy. So if Joe is a 0, Cooper is a child, and Luke is a ghost sending needy voice notes from Cape Town after violating his boss's sheets.
Our conclusion.
Absolutely none of the men on this boat have yacht daddy energy. We are stranded at sea, babes.
We must look elsewhere for our manifestation. Perhaps the guy operating the crane for the dinner in the sky has some potential. He holds people's lives in his hands. That requires stability, focus, and a steady income.
Honestly, I'll take the crane operator at this point. Call me Mr. Crane. So if we look at our yacht MVP segment, who actually carried the boat this week while the men were acting like toddlers?
Analytically, it has to be Aesha. Not only is she doing her own high-level administrative job as Chief Stew, she's working manual labor as a deckhand. She is managing Jen's toxic meltdowns with absolute grace and emotional intelligence.
And shaking the maracas.
Exactly. She's providing the only comic relief by violently shaking maracas to cut the tension.
I agree with Aesha, but I have to give an honorable mention to Kayley. She survived being psychologically tested by Joe at the bar. She survived Jen literally wishing fire damage on her over a piece of porcelain. And she plated a 13-item old Hollywood dinner while down 2 crew members. Kayley is a survivor.
She truly is.
Now, for our biggest disaster segment, is it Cooper's communication skills, the caviar bread plating, or the crane dinner concept?
Cooper's communication skills, without a doubt. Plating can be fixed with a bigger plate next time. You cannot easily fix a man who thinks Operation Secret Vibing is a valid, ethical relationship strategy.
Totally. Now, tying into our Charter from Hell segment, we didn't see much of the upcoming guests yet, but looking ahead, we have Primary Bunny and her Econ Club demanding vegan and gluten-free late-night snacks. I am preemptively declaring them the Charter from Hell because they are going to drive Joy to the absolute brink.
Let's debate the demands of the current charter, though. He's demanding a 14-item buffet plate for an old Hollywood dinner when the crew is operating with a skeleton staff, reasonable, high maintenance, completely ridiculous, or grounds for jumping overboard.
Look, demanding 14 items when you can clearly see the crew is running on fumes is high maintenance. But is it completely ridiculous? No. They are paying hundreds of thousands of dollars. They don't care about maritime law or safe manning certificates.
Fair point. Let's re-examine the bread plate debate. Jen viewed serving an appetizer on a bread plate as a catastrophic failure of service, a completely ridiculous act. From a hospitality perspective, is it reasonable because they are in survival mode? Is it high maintenance to care? Or is it grounds for jumping overboard?
I think Jen is completely ridiculous. The guests didn't even notice. They were eating the caviar off the tiny plates, having a great time, and left a $21,000 tip. The only person whose reality was shattered was Jen.
I will argue that eating caviar off a bread plate is perfectly fine. However, eating while dangling 150 feet in the air from an industrial crane is absolutely grounds for jumping overboard.
Oh, for sure.
I would rather eat beluga caviar off a paper napkin on the stable teak deck than eat off fine china in a swiveling seat in the stratosphere.
1,000%. And just when you think this crew can't get any more chaotic, we get the massive cliffhanger at the end of the episode.
Captain Sandy's desperate text to Norma, the crewing agent, finally pay off. A replacement deckhand arrives to save the skeleton crew.
And it is none other than Season 10's chaotic Frenchie, Max Salvador-Holz. He literally somersaults his way down the yacht's hallway, just full gymnastics onto the boat.
Which sets up an incredible dynamic shift for our next charter predictions.
Hmm.
Joe is the acting bosun. Joe thrives on a very specific kind of bro energy, high fives, and blind obedience.
Which Max does not have.
Max is a completely unpredictable, rebellious, anti-authoritarian French energy. I predict Joe will completely fail to manage Max.
Oh, he's gonna crumble.
Last season, Nathan was too authoritative and Max rebelled. Joe thinks his frat boy Josen management style will work, but Max is going to run circles around him and take 3-hour smoke breaks.
It is going to be spectacular television. What is your prediction for the next hookup?
Operation Secret Vibing will absolutely result in a hookup in the bosun's locker, but it will end in catastrophic embarrassment for Kat when Cooper inevitably flirts with someone else in public to maintain the secret illusion, breaking her heart all over again.
Yes, the secret is going to destroy her. Next fight. It is going to be the inevitable clash between Jen and the new arrival, Max. Max is chaotic, free-spirited, and messy. Jen requires militant order, clean placemats, and screaming. They are going to combust.
Guest disaster prediction, the Econ Club guests are going to throw a fit over Joy's cooking because she is going to be physically exhausted from pulling anchor duty, and a complex, vegan, gluten-free late-night snack order at 2 a.m. is going to break her spirit.
And one completely ridiculous prediction. I predict that Aesha will accidentally drop her emotional support maracas into the Mediterranean Sea, causing a deep, profound mourning period that delays the departure of the next charter by at least 3 hours. She will demand a moment of silence on the bow.
A fitting maritime tribute to the hardest-working crew members on the boat.
Truly. Babes, that is all the snark we have for today. But before we go, I want to leave you with one final provocative thought to chew on.
Let's hear it.
We just spent an hour dissecting the toxic dynamics of these crew members, Jen's sadism, Joe's ego, Cooper's manipulation. But Bravo continues to cast them, and we continue to watch them religiously. So ask yourself, are we, the viewers, demanding this level of chaos for our entertainment, the actual toxic chief stews of the reality TV ecosystem? Are we the ones demanding the proverbial bread plate be perfect while the crew burns? Think about that next time you turn on the TV.
A chilling thought for the Snark Squad.
Let us know what you think. Head to the comments and tell us what's your favorite Gen X phrase that we desperately need to bring back into the lexicon. What belongs on the absolute perfect Philly cheesesteak? And most importantly, where are yacht daddies?
Are they out there? We need coordinates. Send a flare.
Stay sunny, stay delusional, and we'll see you on the snark side.